All right, everybody. We're so excited. We have such a special guest on the show today, the Gwen and Damo show. We got obviously the wonderful man, the myth, Gwen. But today we have Sarah Hauser, who is absolutely an amazing woman who has accomplished so much. Philanthropist, fitness trainer, Guinness World Record holder. You just got to look her up. It'll absolutely blow your mind on what she's accomplished and done, and movies and you name it. But we're really excited to have her today because what's more amazing to us about Sarah is that she shares the same vision in life on kind of just always being that positive attitude or energy that's just like so motivating for people that I think, it helps anybody she comes into contact with. And so we're super lucky to have her on the show today. So thank you so much, Sarah, for being on the show today.
Thank you. What an intro. Thank you so much. Super happy to be here and chat with you guys.
Yeah, I've been a huge fan of Sarah for like a long time, watching the movie like Girl on Wave, and I love that like you follow your passion, and I know like you were like really good at school, and you could have probably done anything you wanted to do, and you chose to do that. So I'm very excited to hear your story.
Thanks. Well, good at school. I don't know that I could have done anything I wanted, but I,
I'm sure
I
you could have, but yeah.
thank you. I'm definitely happy where I am today for sure.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about like where you come from and how did you get to where you get to do what you do today.
Well, originally I come from New Caledonia. It's a small island in the South Pacific. It's French. It's in between Australia and Fiji, and I was lucky enough to be born there and grow up there, which is um, I'm so grateful. We don't choose where we get to be born, but yeah, I can't imagine what my life would have been like if I had come from a different place. In New Caledonia, that's where I fell in love with the ocean, through free diving at first and windsurfing in the lagoons. But around the age of 15, I discovered the waves. And it's funny because it was a real discovery. It was not something that was in my face because New Caledonia is surrounded by a barrier reef. So the only way to ride waves is to take a boat and to ride it for almost an hour, sometimes 45 minutes if the sea is calm. So yeah, from the shore you don't see any of the waves. You have to take that boat all the way out, and so I was lucky enough to have friends who took me out there. And at 15 years old, that's when I rode my first wave windsurfing, and it just blew my mind. I was like, I love this so much. I have to just have that in my life in some way. And
Was it scary? Was it scary at first though?
yeah, it was because it's the wave is similar to Fiji, to cloud break. It's a big left that breaks on the outer reef. It's shallow reefs and sharp corals, so but it's also beautiful. It's mesmerizing. The water is crystal clear. You see the color of the reef under you when you're riding the wave, and there was this thrill about it. And the first day that I went to ride those waves, it was actually like mast high, the size of my sail. And that's what I assume wave riding was like. It was like, okay, that is what wave riding is. You just get chased by big scary waves, and it's so much fun. So yeah.
I feel like that's usually not like people's first experience in waves. Like you usually start with like I don't know, knee high, and that's already like scary enough for people. But
I know, I realized that afterwards, but because of the journey to get to those waves, having to take the boat and spend money on gas, and before you even launch your boat, you have to drive with the boat on a trailer for an hour or two. So you usually would look at the forecast, and it would have to be really like sure that something was going to happen. Like the threshold was pretty high. So that's why we ended up riding conditions that were often big, because smaller than this, the risk of not having good enough condition was too high, and we wouldn't attempt it. It was not worth trying, basically. So yeah, that's how we ended up riding waves that were pretty big, even for a first time.
So let me get this straight. You were going to be a tennis professional or a golfer or an engineer, but instead, no, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh no,
No,
no, not a
Sarah,
tennis
very
professional.
skilled.
An,
in so
an
many things.
astronaut. I'm sure you could have been an astronaut
An
as well.
astronaut. No,
Oh, no.
so it's interesting because now you live where?
I live in Maui now.
And
Well, please.
and the only reason I ask you that is, so New Caledonia to go right away was such a kind of a mission, and now, I mean, you've ridden the biggest wave for a woman, obviously in our world today, and it sounds like Jaws in Hawaii is the same kind of mission, somewhat, not as much as your other mission, but a big mission to get to that wave and have it right. Is that kind of similar?
It's true, yeah. I mean, it's funny because in Maui you have both the easy access, and that's the thing that appealed me very much at first. You know, it's you can drive to the beach and check the waves, and if they're not good, you can go on with your day. And in New Caledonia, you could not do that. Like once you drove and rode the boat and got out there, and if it was not good, you were stuck out there for a few hours trying to see if the tide switch would do something to the waves, and you had spent all your money on gas and the whole day trying. But in Maui, you get to drive around, you get to check different spots. When you're done riding, you get to shower and come to your car and go on with your day. That was so easy to me, and I was like, oh, that's a place where I can really get a lot of practice. You know, I can really improve. I can be in those waves every day, where in New Caledonia we would get so few sessions a year that it was really hard to get better at it, you know. And but Jaws definitely doesn't belong to that category of easy access, lots of repetition, lots of practice. It's like if we get 4 or 5 windsurf session a winter at Jaws, we're lucky, you know. And even in those sessions, you don't get a lot of waves because it's a lot of people out there, so it's hard to get a wave, and you don't want to get a wave that you don't really feel confident about. So all the stars kind of need to align, and so you have to channel that same mindset that I had in New Caledonia, with like very few opportunities to work your way up through the progression out there.
Wow.
So now bring us back to like the when you like decided to go to Maui, because I feel like, you know, like Maui is a very intimidating place for anybody, you know, especially if you didn't grow up in waves. And so how was it like to decide like I'm gonna move to Maui? And did that come with like I don't know, some like, you know, people maybe in your you know, like in your family, in your friends, that were like maybe hesitant about your decision? Like how did that process go?
It was a crazy time of my life. You know, I had just graduated from engineering school, and I was kind of considering my options and the path to follow. And at that point, I hadn't really windsurfed much in 5 years. That was the time it took me to get my degree, and it was intense. I studied a lot, so I didn't have time to get on the water, and I even had to move to a town in France that was far away from the ocean. So I was completely disconnected from the sea, but at the same time, I kept those dreams inside of me. I had posters on my wall, and I would get so sad at times because it felt like a part of me had been taken away, yeah, I just was not in a very confident, clear space. But I don't know. I felt like I was being told to chase things and that things would get better after. You know, they tell you to study so you get into a good school, and then they tell you to work hard so you get a good internship, and then you'd have to work hard for a promotion. And I felt tired of being in front of a carrot that people would dangle in front of me. So I wanted to take control in my path. And I thought at this point, you know, it's just worth it. I just should try, and the risk isn't like, if I fail, I will still have tried. I will be better off than wondering this whole life if I should have tried something different, you know. So I decided to come to Maui for 6 weeks and to participate in the Aloha Classic, which is a renowned windsurf competition that takes place at Hukipa. and I had no sponsors, and I never rode a right. I only rode lefts in New Caledonia, so I had a lot of things to get used to very quickly. But somehow I did good enough to get attentions from a few sponsors that came and offered me equipment, and I took it as a sign. And I remember flying home from that trip, and you have to fill up those cards, where you put your name, you put your address and your occupation, and I wrote down professional windsurfer. And the guy, I remember, looked at me, was like, "Is that a job?" And I was like, "Yes, that's gonna be mine. I'm gonna figure out a way." And after that, I spent 3 months just working as a research assistant for a tuna tagging program. Actually, that was pretty cool. But during my lunch break, I would also go and meet with potential sponsors. And after 3 months, I had accumulated enough money to go and travel for a year and compete on the international windsurfing tour and on the stand-up paddle tour in racing. And so, yeah, I was just trying to get my foot into this work, trying to get sponsors, trying to improve too at the same time, because I had to get up to the level of the rest of the women that been doing that for the past years, and yeah, that's kind of like how that transition happened. It was not like I'm moving to Maui. I just kind of had that first trip that was kind of my awakening, and then I followed on to that.
Well, what I love is, well, truthfully, we can end the show right here because you literally just nailed it. I mean, you just showed vulnerability, motivation. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to chase after something that's unknown. And you did it. And this is like literally what we try to instill in everybody out there that follows along and listens. Sarah did exactly what I believe everybody's so nervous to do in life, yet like you said, you're like, wow, what's the worst that can happen? I travel around, I try maybe whatever, I can always go back and work or whatever it may be. And I think that's so amazing that you literally you spent 5 years so dedicated, so driven towards something and chasing after the carrot, which is like for sure exactly what happens. And then you did it, and doors open, and it would have never happened if you didn't just take a leap of faith and go for it. And I think I commend you for that. And I hope that anybody listening along, I mean, that's literally what Gwen has done in his life. It's 100,000,000% what I've done in my life. And it may be something super small, like learning a language or something. Like it just takes like getting the actual book to learn how to do it versus like, oh, I'll get to it one day, like I'll never get to it. So
yeah, and it's I'm so glad you're focusing on that for a second, because that's really something I wish I could have told to my older self, was like, don't let all these myths that people are creating around this thing you want to do stop you from trying. Whether it was going to Maui, if I told you all the things people were telling me about Hukipa and how gnarly it was going to be, and like there was a side of me that would listen and be like, can I do that? Like it sounds so scary. And then there was the same thing for jazz, obviously. It was like giant, scary wave, biggest wave in the world, blah, blah, blah. Like your first reflex, if you're a humble person, is to be like, okay, if it's like the biggest, the best, I'm just a normal person. Like, what am I going to do trying to do this? But my lesson from all of this is that go and see for yourself, and it doesn't mean that you have to completely quit your entire life. Like I took this first trip to Maui, and it was for 6 weeks, and then things happen. And for jazz, I told myself the first time I went out there, I told myself, if when you get there it looks like it's out of your league, then you don't have to do it, but at least go and watch it, and from then I went on to sail next to the wave in the channel, and from then I went on to being on the shoulder, and that's how you get to your dreams, by finding those small increments. Like I said, I get the book first and work your way through the steps, rather than letting people make you feel like it's this giant leap and only a superhero could do that,
I mean, I would take it differently. I would send Gwen into Jaws first for him to check it out, make sure it's good for me to be able to go in. But you'd be okay, and then I'll give it a shot.
If I survive, you go.
Yeah, if he makes it down, maybe I'll tack out there and give it a shot.
No, yeah, I mean,
Go
I
ahead.
feel like this is perfect because, often when we have a goal, and if it's a big goal, the most important thing is to break it down and sure, keep your bigger goal in mind, but look at what's next in front of you, and just tackle that small task that feels like you can handle it. I mean, if you tell, like, I don't know, a 5 years old kid that, if you want to be a doctor, you have to do this for that many years, and you have to go you do this and that and this, and the kid's going to be like, well, I don't want to be a doctor then. But if you just tell him, like, well, just finish that year of school and do well at this year of school, and this is definitely like and that's you can apply this in anything in life, whether you are trying to learn how to wing foil. Sure, you look at like the pros that are wing foiling, and it seems like incredibly hard, but what if you just focus on the next step in front of you, which is being able to get up on the board, not even on the foil, and hold the wing and cruise. And then once you do that, what is the next step? And always break it down. And Sarah, you have done that like really well. Now I would be like curious to know, like, a professional windsurfer's life seems like super dreamy, best life ever. But what is the reality? Like, often that means like sacrifice that we don't see. So can you share a bit about this? Like, what is it really like?
Well, yeah, there were kind of two chapters in my windsurfer life. I would say there was the chapter before I was able to get sponsored. So I'm currently sponsored by Medallia. Oops, right here, Medallia. It's a tech company, and that's my main source of income. And before I could get such kind of sponsorships, I was relying on working as a fitness trainer. So life was tough because I was working, and when I was supposed to rest, I was riding big waves and training in the gym, and I kind of ran myself to exhaustion at one point. After I finally reached the point to be sponsored, things got a little more comfortable, but it's still a hustle, because even last year, I think with COVID and everything, I did lose my main sponsor, and for a few months I went back to teaching fitness classes. So there's no guarantee in this lifestyle. Like, at any moment, your life can change, and at the same time, you have to be so committed to it to be, you have to be so strong and solid to go in those dangerous waves, and to keep your ambition up for all these trips and competition. It's an exhausting life, as fun as it is. Takes a lot of energy. So yeah, it's a balance, but I'm so happy to go to the beach, go to Hukipa, and know that I'm working. That's my job, to be in those waves and to practice and get better, so that's the life I dreamt for, and I'm so grateful. I hope it lasts for another couple years.
I'm sure it will. I'm 100% sure it
And
will.
along the way, I mean, I'm sure there was like doubt. It's not all like, it was not, I'm sure, a straight line. It was not like everything worked out. There was, I'm sure, a moment where like you were questioning, am I doing the right thing? And that can even be like increased by pressure from your family, being like, what are you doing? You could be an engineer, you could be making money, you could have a house, you could have a family. um how did you like handle these moments of doubt, and or was there any moment of doubt for you?
Oh yeah, there were some. I came from a family that didn't necessarily support this lifestyle at first. I mean, it's just that we didn't have models to look up to. I think in my community in New Caledonia, like people who had successfully made a career out of windsurfing for a long period of time. That didn't really exist. We saw people who tried, but it didn't. Yeah, it didn't look like a safe path. And so, with that in mind, I felt a little lonely in my quest at time, knowing that people were kind of waiting for me to fail, and to come home and go back to being an engineer and be like, oh, I tried, that was hard, that didn't work out. And I was always wondering, like, is this now? Is it the moment to do that? Is it the moment to stop trying? And even in the hardest times when I was exhausted, when I would go teach 3 yoga classes on the south side of Maui, come back on the side, teach swimming classes to kids in the pool, and then go windsurfing, and then go to the gym, and then just be dead and not make any money and live with so many roommates and just like my car breaking down all the time, like at some point you're like, well, is this really fun? I'm not sure. But I just couldn't feel okay with giving up. I don't know. It maybe was part of, I don't regret studying engineering because it definitely toughened me up. It was super selective and forced me to like put the head down and just work and not give up until I got what I wanted. So yeah, I'm a Taurus. I just don't give up.
I love this. I love this. I love it. Okay, so I got a question. My question is, so you've obviously gotten yourself into wing foiling, and that's something, sounds like it's a really fun thing for you, and you're, a super freak windsurfing. But my question to you is, there's so many, we'll say, women and children out there that are looking into this sport going, I don't know, should I give this a shot? Should I do this? Is this right? It's dangerous. It's this, it's that. What would be that one thing you would say to that wife, that child, whoever it may be, and even maybe an older gentleman who's, on the fence? Is there something you would say to them that maybe kind of could kick them over the edge?
Well, if it's possible, I would say try and start with a friend, because how you said it's very good to be able to break it down into steps. Like, yeah, for sure. Like, figure out the first small step you can take toward this goal, whether it's going to talk to somebody at the beach who's already doing what you want to do, who's already wing foiling, and ask them questions like where they bought the gear. That could be your first step. But don't forget to make sure that also as you walk those steps, it's fun. It's got to be fun, because maybe the answer to your previous question about doubt and why I didn't give up is because overall, as hard as it was, I was still living my dream. I was still in Maui, training as an athlete. It was not ideal, but it was still what I would dream to do, and it was fun. And so same thing with your learning phase. You don't want it to be just a routine that you go and do, and you won't be satisfied until you reach your goal. Like, the journey is the dream. So find a friend, make sure that you find ways to appreciate the little moments in your progression, in your search. Leave it as a quest, maybe, to an adventure to get to your goal, and that will make things more exciting.
Well, that's so well said.
Now you are like an incredible windsurfer, and windsurfing is very hard. But can you describe your first time foiling or your first time wing foiling? Was it easy for you? Like, how was it?
The very first time was in New Caledonia. I was back when it used to be the snowboard boots in the like the whole snowboard stuff. So that was a long time ago. But it was weird. Like, the equipment was so different back then. When it came back just recently, I think it was because my friend Paige Alms and Sean Ordonez, they were experimenting with surf foiling. They were getting foils, and Sean was shaping boards, and I was watching them do it, and I would just paddle out with a longboard and kind of just watch and cheer, but secretly hope that they'd be like, hey, do you want to try it? at some point they did offer me to try, and the very first wave was probably just a big crash, as you take so many whiplashes at first. Sure. But that's the thing. Like, we were, as friends, we were on the water and we were laughing at our crashes. We were cheering each other, and yeah, like, we were just a bunch of cooks, but we were having so much fun. And when I finally got to fly for a little bit and feel that feeling of, it's like you're levitating, you're just above the water. Somehow you're only 70 centimeters above the water, but it feels like you're 30 meters high above the water, and everything goes quiet. That's the craziest thing, because your board is not hitting the chop. It's just so quiet. And then, progressing, being able to start to bottom turn, top turn, right waves, draw your lines. It's just so cool how graceful it was. I think that's something really cool for women, who are naturally graceful. If you ever did some dancing, or you're just like flowy with your movements, the foiling is good for that. It doesn't react well to like quick, fast movement. It needs to have that grace, that flow. And so I like that. It kind of was a good balance with windsurfing, where I tend to be a little more aggressive and I like to ride with the rail and go look for the sections that are punchy, but foiling is just like flowy, graceful, riding a magic carpet, flying above the water. It's just so cool.
Yeah, I like run away from those punchy sections on a foil. I'm like, ah,
yeah, me too.
Oh man. Well, you said something unique, which I think is just spectacular, and I'll hit on it one more time. And that's like, you said, if you were to recommend sort of anything to somebody, get a friend and just start, right? Just start, just have fun trying it. And whatever it is, just try something and enjoy it along the way. And I think that's super awesome, because why would you want to live or do something that you're not enjoying? And there's no question there's going to be hard times learning something. And I think everybody should know that, that's, I used to ski race, and people would be like, well, I want to be a really good skier, but I only skied like twice a year. And it's like, well, you're not going to be a good skier. Like you only ski twice a year. So you got to ski a lot. So you got to put your time in and you got to learn it. So what goal do you have for, if you were to look 5 years in advance? Is there a goal, business side, athletic side? Is there a goal that you have that you want to accomplish, or a dream maybe that you're chasing after?
I am kind of like building on to what I'm doing right now, which is I basically competed for now a good amount of years on the tour, and I now I'm more focused on trying to travel and ride waves that I have a strength to ride and conquer that. I feel like in windsurfing we see a lot of guys who've been able to make that transition successfully. I haven't seen a lot of women being able to, and I'd love to attempt that. So far, my sponsors are supporting it, and I already got to travel to Fiji in 2019 on a mission to chase a swell at Cloud Break. So I'd love to do more things like this. I also would love to improve at jaws, and it's not a 5-year thing. I think it can be a lifetime thing, because like I said, it's just got so few opportunities that your progression takes time. And so, yeah, that's something I want to do, is draw better lines on those waves at jaws. And I'm also involved in a few different philanthropic projects. The main one is Women in Water in Peru. And we started in 2018 teaching surf classes to young girls and distributing water filters. And each year the program has grown with more participation and more support from our partners. So we're able to bring more filters and do more activities when we go there. So I want to continue growing that and see where it can go as well. But this has kind of been, it's funny, because I think that this very corporate way of setting 5-year, 10-year goals, and sure, we should have goals, but there's also a magic in letting things unfold. And I'm not saying to just sit and wait for things to happen for you, but Women in Water is really an example of like starting with a small basic idea of wanting to help, and just by pursuing that, like things tagging along and making sense and steering us into very fun directions to grow that program.
Spectacular. So everybody support her. Let's make this happen. Want everybody right now. This is it. Make it happen. I think you should go ride. Is it on your radar to ride? I will keep wanting to say Chicama, but it's not Chicama. It's
Nazare.
Nazare. Are you gonna windsurf Nazare? How about that? We find a sponsor, we'll get you to Nazare. that's it.
Has
Nazare.
Anybody windsurfed Nazare?
Yes. Jason Polacco and Thomas Traversa did.
How about women?
Women, I don't think so. I don't think any woman did that. I don't know that I really want to, though. I'm not sure that wave is really. I think like it's more for the for the video and the photo. But even Thomas Traversa is a French windsurfer who's incredible at going to places where nobody's ever gone before, making it through the gnarliest shore breaks and making weird conditions look fun somehow. Well, even him said that Nazaré was a gnarly experience and it wouldn't necessarily go back out there. So I'm not sure Nazaré is in the goals, but Cape Verde, that's a wave I'm dreaming to go to. Cape Verde, yeah, where.
All right, we got to get you to Cape Verde then. That's it.
Yeah. That's a beautiful wave. Yes.
I see a trophy behind you. What's what is it?
Oh, thank you. That's a big bull. That's that's the Big Wave Award from the International Windsurfing Tour. 2 years ago, they started awarding, kind of like the WSL does the XXL award with picture evidence or video evidence of your biggest wave, and then they award the biggest wave of the winter and the biggest wipeout and all of that. So I won this past winter the biggest wave for women.
Wow.
What is the estimated size that they say it was, or do they know, or is that?
That last wave, I'm not sure, but the Guinness wave, I think it's 35, 36 feet is what they estimated from the picture.
Just like our Florida shore break, right, Gwen?
Yeah, I actually just broke my wings this morning, and it was only like 1.5 foot shore break.
Oh, wow. So. Well, what is if there's like, is there a vision that you see yourself doing at Jaws that's different than other people have done? Because it sounds like your passion is to just keep opening up these lines at Jaws and doing different things in your home spot. Is there, I'm guessing it is, but I'm guessing you have a really big passion to get other people, other women, other, people to join you to kind of step out of their comfort zone and do that as well. Is that something that's like, are you trying to get more people to kind of enjoy that incredible fun that you have, that is your passion?
For sure. I would love to, see the next generation of women. I hope if they hear this, like, come see me, because I want to share all I've learned with you. Like, I want to help with whatever I can to share knowledge, experience, information with, because there wasn't another woman guiding me through this. There was a bunch of dudes, and they were really nice and cool too, but it's nice when you see somebody that's like you. And for me, the inspiration, the female inspiration at Jaws are mostly women who paddle. So Paige Jones, Annie Raker, Izzy Gomez, Kayla Kennelly, all these super rad girls who are so brave. It's so insane what they do paddling, and yeah, that's next level. But seeing them out there just definitely makes me feel like, yeah, I can do that too. I'm like them, and yeah. So I'm hoping to inspire that for other women, but it's not necessarily just about the big waves, it can be applied to anything people are trying to do. And again, it's back to really that message of go and check it out, find those increments. Don't let people decide what's impossible, what's too hard for you. You can go figure it out on your own, and that doesn't mean you have to go and get hurt. But it was an insane experience being in Maui. I'd been to that trip, for 6 weeks, my first trip. And then I came back in the spring 2013, and there was that late Jaws swell. I think it was April 5th, which is late for the season. And I was invited to Jaws, and I really struggled with the idea that it was too soon, that it was not good enough. And so glad I still went out and tried. I didn't do great by any means on my first session, but it was enough to be like, I think with time, with training, I can get there. And even if I never draw the perfect line at Jaws, just the journey to get to that point, the people I get to meet, the freediving course I get to take, the experiences I live to get to that goal, that's my real dream. Actually, that's what I'm so happy I get to live.
Done. It's perfect. Done. That's it. That was it. That was beautiful. That was amazing. If you were to answer this one's tricky. Do you think mental strength is more important than physical strength? Or do you think they both
Mm,
play a similar card?
they're both important. Yeah, you need the body. Come on, but the brain. I started getting really into it about 2.5 years ago, and the tools I worked with were hypnosis tools, self hypnosis. I'm I'm really intrigued by how the subconscious mind works, and when you try and really face what your subconscious beliefs are about yourself and address them, talk to them, and realize that some of them are irrelevant or they just don't make sense. That's when you can start to shift that. And I had a weird experience at Jaws. Like, I almost felt like I was uh, dissociating my mind from my body. I had done so much mental work to like bring confidence to myself, to bring calm to myself during those big days at Jaws. And I was riding a wave there, and it felt like it stretched out for so long. And I was looking toward the channel, and I thought for a second, like, I'm not gonna be able to make it. Like, that's gonna close out on me. And so that was one side of my head. I was like, okay, that's not gonna work out. We're gonna get wiped out. And the other side of me was just focusing on the moment and being so present, and did the best performance I ever did to somehow absorb every chop, steer myself the way I needed to, catch the speed where I had to, and just stay on that wave. Well, there was this panic side of me that was just like, maybe you should eject from the foot strap now, so that if the wave crashes on you, you're not going to have one foot stuck in the straps. And when I came out of the foot strap, I felt like almost like something else piloted me out there. And I truly believe that by training my subconscious mind to believe I was going to be able to do what I needed to do, that I was going to be able to perform my absolute best. That was my mantra. I perform my absolute best. That's how I made it, And so, yeah, the brain, the mental, you got to address it at some point, and you'll find some very intriguing things in there. And it's fun if you can do it with someone else who's qualified into helping you, whether it's through self-hypnosis or neuro-linguistic programming, or there's so many tools out there. And it's like a muscle. You practice, you do bicep curls with your brain.
So to perform at your best, you have to be present. But for you, like, does it take to like be present? Does it take to be at Jaws, or are you able to, find ways to be present in everyday life?
Well, I definitely try to, but there are ups and downs. There are definitely days where I'm stressed, like anybody else, where I got anxiety because I've got too much to do and I'm overwhelmed, and I'm trying to get through the day. And another thing that keeps me busy these days is my fitness training website. During the lockdowns of 2020, I started a NC6 training, which is my way of sharing what I've learned movement-wise. I've got a certification as a fitness trainer, and I'm passionate about what movement can do for people's health. And so I'm juggling this and my sponsors, and trying to create videos, and staying on top of social medias and the emails and the training and in life. Everybody's busy. So yeah, sometimes you get on the water and you're just thinking about all these things. And so being aware of that, though, it gives you a choice. It gives you the opportunity to be like, okay, I recognize that this is not the best day, but I can take some deep breath. I can utilize techniques and implement them to try and bring myself to a calmer place. There's always something we can do. We might not be able to erase the problems, but we have always a choice to make to make things a little easier for ourselves. So I think it's important to take responsibility with that, and I'm trying to do that as much as possible, and optimize my days. But sometimes you just have bad days too, and that's okay. It means you need to rest.
Man, it's like everything you say is always about like you know, like it's overcoming something and then it's a positive way of looking at it, which is just spectacular, because I think a lot of people just fall to the negative side. And I think everything can be overcome with just a little bit of positivity, which is what you show and what you do. And now we got to, you know, get on your fitness plan and make sure that we're, you know, able to handle our 2-foot shore break, Gwen.
I know. I'm sure everybody listening here, like we are all like stoked, fired up. We want to learn from you. How do people learn more about you, and how do people join your program?
Well, if you're just curious about my athlete endeavors, you should go to hauserlifestyle.com and to Hauser Lifestyle on Instagram. That's where I share my journey. But if you're interested in the fitness side of things, my website's called NC6 Training. NC6 is my sale number, New Caledonia 6. So yeah, and that's where you'll find some videos, some routines, some stretching routine. I'm a lot of what I do is into mobility training. So it's not your typical like pull-ups and muscle and push-up workout, but it's more about range of motion and controlling your range of motion. The first program I created is called Solid Shoulders. So it's everything I've learned basically to keep my shoulders healthy throughout everything I do, and I'm sharing it with you. And there's even a little hypnosis recording in the program to introduce you to it, because I wanted people to get to experience that. I think it's so cool, and more people should know about it. So NC6 Training for the fitness.
That's awesome.
That's spectacular. And people chiming in. AC, yes, we agree. I mean, Sarah's spectacular, and I'm excited to kind of actually look into it more. I think mental is a big battle that people struggle with, and I think what you shared today and just being vulnerable and letting people know that that's part of sort of your process, I think it's awesome, because I think it's lost in everyday life, athletics, you name it, anything. It's just we never focus on mental. It's always physical. It's what somebody looks like, and mentally is a huge
it's one of the most powerful tool yet underutilized, and it's also one of the cheapest thing, because you just have to close your eyes and think about certain things. You don't have to buy any fancy machine. You don't have to pay memberships. You can find guided hypnosis audio files on YouTube, on Spotify for free to help you with your stress, anxiety, confidence, falling asleep, whatever it is. It's oftentimes people think of hypnosis as like, you know, the pendulum, and it's going to change you into a chicken, but it's really more like it's more like a guided meditation, but with certain techniques meant to put you into a state where your mind is more receptive. And there are little tricks also. It's funny, I was doing that exercise yesterday where a part of your mind is supposed to visualize yourself like drawing those letters on a whiteboard and erasing them, and you have to be careful. So you have to visualize yourself do that and focus on that vision. And at the same time, while you're still listening to the guided hypnosis, the person is repeating certain mantras to your subconscious mind. And the reason why you're having this exercise to visualize is because sometimes the mind can be so aggressive that it won't even let you put new thoughts into it. It will be like, especially like I tend to be very critical of things, and I've been a bit of a perfectionist. So if I'm trying to work on a mantra, like I perform my absolute best. I'm doing what I love. Part of me could be like, no, you're not good enough. What are you trying to do? So if you focus the mind on a little exercise, but another side of your mind still hears this, even if you feel like you're not fully like memorizing it, it still does its effect, especially if you practice it. Again, the brain is like a muscle. So you're doing your bicep curls. And over time, if you're consistent with it, you'll notice a difference. But it's like anything, you know, consistency doesn't have to be for 10 hours a day, just like 5 minutes. And yeah, it's powerful. It's trippy.
I absolutely love it. We have another question that just came in, then we'll wrap things up here. But very interested in your mind training. Do you have like a guru, or you know, is there something you're doing? And I guess obviously I would recommend going and checking out our website and going deeper into it. But do you have a guru, or is there, guided meditation that you follow, or?
I have a lot of different sources. I mean, there are meditation apps that are great, like the Calm app. I like the Waking Up app too. But those aren't specifically hypnosis. Like for hypnosis, I've worked with a hypnosis coach. The company is called Cephalo Hypnosis. They work with athletes, and so we created audio recordings that were specifically meant for me and what I was trying to accomplish. But there's a lot of kind of like mainstream ones that you will find on YouTube and Spotify that will deal with the most common issues we have, anxiety and stress, or falling asleep, finding confidence, getting in the state of focus and alertness. So yeah, you just Google self-hypnosis audio files and you'll find some stuff, and it probably will guide you to more. I would also recommend, there's a podcast I love to listen to. It's by Tara Brach. What?
Gwen was probably just going to say
it. Sorry, I didn't hear it.
The Gwen and Damo show?
Yeah, that's exactly. You can.
And then your second one is?
You just have to add like the hypnosis part. I'm going to count down, and you're going to be taking everything I say into your subconscious.
Weird. There's nobody watching anymore, Gwen. No, what's Sarah? What's the podcast that you listen
Sorry.
to?
It's Tara Brach. She's a meditation teacher, and she has a PhD in psychology. And I've been listening to her for I don't know how many years now, but lots of stuff about self reflection and the things we all deal with in this world. So yeah.
Well, as you know, we got to wrap it up. But Liam, thank you for tuning in. Sarah, I mean, we always end on a good note, or we try end on a good note. This is pretty much a spectacular whole show. So thank you. It was very inspiring, very different. I love it. You have such incredible positivity and energy and different ways of looking at things. I think it helps a lot of people, and I think people would be really intrigued to listen to this. But is there anything you'd like to end on and just say to anybody out there to, just, be there for them? And is there anything you want to end with, other than you pretty much just killed it? So thank you.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Well, I just, I guess I will add one last thing. When I did a free diving workshop with Davide Carrera, who's an Italian free diver, he said something to me about being able to go deep. He said, you have to work hard with no expectations. And at first, that was the weirdest thing I've ever heard, because I thought expectations and goals are what I need to strive towards something, and to work hard without an expectation sounds very strange. And I think it goes back to what I was trying to explain with, when you follow the steps toward your goal, what's the most important are the actual steps. And the goal, whether you accomplish it or not, it won't last. The moment you get a trophy on a podium, it's like this. But the work to get to it, it can be years. Same thing for a wave at Jaws, And so make sure that the steps, the process, the journey is fun, and that you almost let go of your expectations, that your expectations are more about that present moment and enjoying the process.
I love that.
That's like literally, Gwen tells me that every day. Literally every day. I think this is good, Sarah. This is so good.
This is exactly what it's about. It's about the process. Enjoy the process. That's everything. That's the entire thing. The end goal, like you said, is a moment, and then after that is another process, a new process that begins. So it's the process. And if you don't enjoy the process, then you need to find a different thing to do.
Yeah.
I got nothing. That was perfection. That was literally perfect.
Thank you so much. People are like connecting from everywhere. We have Australia, Canada. This is cool. Amazing. And thank you for inspiring so many people all around the world.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that opportunity.
That was literally perfect, and that will be very insightful for people. And so now, Gwen, you want to take us out?
Yeah, we're gonna jump into the Patreon post show. If you want to be part of it, go check out the link below. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to a post show with our guest every week, and you also get access, early access to our videos every week. So, and that supports our what we do, our YouTube channel, so we can keep doing it. We can keep spreading the passion, the love, and bring on more guests. So, if that's what you want to do, check out the link below. If not, we will see you guys next week with a new guest. But thank you so much, Sarah. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing. Wow. All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you.